Hey everybody, welcome to Triggered Care. I'm Alex. Today we have a special one. This one was a request from a fellow survivor on a Discord support group that I'm a part of. And it's a really good idea and I really liked it. And I got a couple other videos that I'm making, but I kind of put those on pause for this one because it really got my brain going and I really like it. I think there's a lot to say about it because I know that I personally struggle with this. A number of people on my support chats have been struggling with this, and maybe you're struggling with this. So let me know down in the comments. Anyway, let's get going. Today's topic is doubting your memories or believing that the recollections of events that you have in your head is not correct. Nothing bad really happened. For whatever reason, your brain is just trying to make this up for attention or something like that. And when this happens to survivors, I think it's from two main things: repressed memories and gaslighting. So let's get into those first. First, I'm going to be talking about repressed memories. Repressed memories is a hard one. I had my first severe repressed memory come back to me earlier this year. My first video talks about it a bit. And when that first came back to me, I did not believe it for a while because it was too unbelievable for me. I would have figured that I would have remembered something earlier. I'm in my adulthood now. Why would all of a sudden my brain be showing me stuff from when I was 3-4 years old? So how I reacted to it, which I don't know if it was the best, but I went to my therapist appointment because I needed to, and I talked to my therapist about it, and she's like, all right, we can handle this, not that you have to believe it right away, but just be open to it. We don't really know what's going on. We don't know what's going on with your brain. So let's see how you absorb this information and what happens if more memories come back or if it's just that one fluke sort of deal. So that's what I did. I talked about it with my husband a little bit. But other than that, I was really trying to just ignore it because I'm like, you know what? I don't remember anything else. And this could be false. And I would rather it would be false because all of the terrible feelings it's making me feel, I would rather not be a person who lived through that. And so for a couple months, I didn't talk about it that much. I was more of trying to ignore it and trying to not poke it at all. But of course that did not work. And so after a couple months, I kind of took it more seriously. Maybe it did happen, but I still don't have any proof and I really don't need to know more about it. But of course, that's not how PTSD works, because about 6 months afterwards, I started getting more flashbacks, and I started getting more repressed memories coming back. And then by that point, I had to admit to myself, I had to admit to my therapist, I think these are real memories. And it's brain-boggling. It's really dissettling to be in your freaking 20s and have memories that shock you and really take you down mentally and trying to figure out how to deal with it and trying to figure out, well, how do I put this into my life now? First of all, it was so long ago. I'm not going to find the people who perpetrated that abuse onto me. And also, I don't want to. I don't want to see their faces. That's the problem with repressed memories. When they come up, you don't want to deal with them. So of course your brain's going to be like, oh, this isn't true. You're just making this up. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You're just making it up. But I think how to tell if it's a real memory, does it stick around? Even when you try to distract, even when you try to move on with life, does it still keep poking you and popping up? Because that's a good sign that it did happen. It's really hard for your brain to accept it. And when we're kids, our brains are very good at kind of turning off when they need to, especially in a survival situation where it's like, I can't handle that now. I'm going to bury that deep. I'm going to repress that deep. Other signs that you have repression issues, and to kind of solidify that your memories are real is the effect that they have on your body. Do you disassociate constantly? Do you lose time sometimes? I have disassociative fugues, not all the time, but when I get stressed enough, I do lose time in my day. Does that happen to you too? If so, then those repressed memories are more likely to be true because you have the brain that will shut down and turn off whenever things are too dangerous. And for early childhood, the scariest memories that I've had come back to me was the sexual trauma. Because that is mind-blowingly terrible and horrendous. And even reliving it through a flashback, I couldn't get out of bed for 2 weeks. I got a nasty infection. My body had a very adverse effect to that memory coming back to me and to more memories coming back to me. Every time I get a little bit more of an idea of what happened, my body gets very stressed out. It gets sick, just like with the PTSD storms, but it's like on steroids because you're dealing with repressed memories that you have not handled at all. You have not really been able to quote unquote get over it because you weren't aware of it. And also, another thing with repressed memories that I've noticed. When you have repressed memories, especially earlier in adulthood, teenagehood, and even before that, middle school, elementary school, you're going to develop a pain addiction. You're going to develop an addiction to something that kind of distances you from your own mind, whether that's drug use, whether that's whatever. You're going to kind of gravitate towards those bad behaviors because you don't want to think about it, and your brain is sending you off on all these side missions like you can't handle this yet. But then I guess when you get older, whenever your brain decides, oh, she can handle it now, she's been through recovery long enough, I'll drop this bomb of a memory on her, and it shakes up your world. And it's really dissettling. I mean, also, I should probably share this as well. About 4 months after my big repressed memory about the childhood sexual trauma, I always sort of had conversion disorder with the disassociated fugues, tremors, neurological issues, but I was never diagnosed with it until about 4 months after that repressed memory came back, and I started getting seizures. And I was having about 20 to 30 seizures a day. And going to the hospital, get my brain scanned and all that, and they let me know it's conversion disorder. The seizures have slowed down since then. Now they only come back really at night. Sometimes if I'm having a real stressful sleep, I'll wake up shaken. But so far it's been alright. I mean, it's a stress response, and it's your brain thinking that it's sick when it's not really sick. And these are very common with people who went through extreme stress, who have repression issues, who have brain malfunctions. I'm going to be coming out with a video probably after this one about brain bugs, and that will go more into that. But yeah, there's a lot to unpack with repressed memories. Because first you gotta decide, did it happen? And for me, my rule stick is, if it sticks around for more than a few months, if you're honestly trying to move past it, and not in a, in a self-destructive way, not that you're like, oh, I'm gonna get drunk every day until this goes away. I mean, living the healthiest life you can, and trying to get past it, and trying to be like, you know what, if it did happen, fine. If it didn't happen, fine. But I just got to keep living, and it keeps bothering you and popping up and popping up and popping up. That's a good sign that it's real and that you need to deal with it. The next reason why it's hard to believe your memories, especially when you come from a mentally, physically abusive household where it's extended periods of abuse, is because of gaslighting. Now, what is gaslighting? Gaslighting is when somebody contradicts what you say purposely in order to manipulate you and your worldview. Classic example of this for me would be when I was a kid. I was maybe 5, 6 years old. I used to get these terrible leg pains. Well, now that I'm older, I know it's probably from my trauma from before that, but I didn't know that back then. So I would just get these terrible leg cramps. And I would try to tell my mom about them. I'd go up to her and I'd be like, oh, my legs, they really hurt. My legs really hurt. And she would tell me that I was lying. She'd be like, no, you're just trying to get out of your chores. Get back to your chores. Nice try. Nice try for trying to roll one over on me. And it's like, I'm not lying. But then somehow my child brain tried to accept that as fact of, oh, she must be right. I must be lying. Why am I a liar? Why am I lying all the time? So then it actually kind of trained me to think that when I had pain, I was a liar. So I never talked about my pain, ever. Along with that, another gaslighting thing, a little bit more clear-cut gaslighting, adult-wise, before I went no contact with her, we were having a conversation about spanking, and I was on the fence about it, like, well, I understand it disciplinary, but, I don't know. And then she looks at me like she's disgusted and was like, oh, I never hit you. And I laughed in her face because I couldn't even believe that she would say these things. She has beat me to the ground. Not only has she beat me to the ground, she's done it with witnesses. Like, how can you just stare me in the face and tell me that you never hit me when you used to beat me on the regular? Like, you freaking crazy person. But that's the thing. That's what gaslighting is they're contradicting your reality. And they say it so confidently and so matter-of-factly that you challenge your own thoughts and you're like, oh, well, maybe they're right. I don't know. I'm not that confident in my thoughts. And the reason why we're not confident in our thoughts is we were not nurtured. We were not raised to believe that we are our own person. So when an authority figure or somebody else comes along with a different memory that kind of clashes with ours, we're like, oh, well, they're probably right because I'm always wrong. When that isn't the case. The case is you're a severely abused person who's been halfway brainwashed by an abusive person. Being abused is like getting in a brainwashing, especially when it's done as a child. If you're born into it and you have no choice, and you are taught like a cult follower, this person's right and you are wrong. So when you grow up with that, it's no wonder that by the time you're an adult, you're questioning your reality. Like, is this real? Because there's always going to be a part of your brain that wants to fit back into that cult. There's always going to be a part of your brain that feels like that's home because it has the weird nostalgic feeling mixed up in it because it's from a younger time. But that's not a good one. That's just the same good feeling that you have from doing something over and over and over and over again. That's not a feeling that you get from actually being healthy and actually loving yourself and allowing yourself to live. If you feel like you need to shut yourself up to be a good person, you're not in the right environment. You need to be in an environment where your loved ones want to hear what's going on with you. Your loved ones want to know what's going on. They want to know about your past. They want to help you out. So how can you tell if you really were, a victim of gaslighting? Well, if either of my examples kind of turned on a light bulb for you, that's a good chance that you were a victim of gaslighting. But there's some other things, some weird quirks that I noticed too with this. How much memory can you access when somebody asks you a direct question about a direct time? You know what I mean? Like a specific time period. If they go, hey, what did you do yesterday for breakfast? Does it take you a while to first get over your brain blankness because your brain's like, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. And then you're like, no, it's fine. I just need to think about breakfast. And it seems like you have to climb a mental mountain in order for you to get your brain back to there, then there's a chance that you were a victim of gaslighting. When you're questioned and called a liar all the time, it takes a while for you to trust yourself to even answer. Good indication that you're a victim of gaslighting. You aren't confident on any memory of yours. Whatever happens, it's like you don't trust your brain enough. Big red flag for gaslighting. The feeling like you're going insane. Big red flag for gaslighting. And not that it's happening to you now, but that you were a victim of it. Because getting gaslit repeatedly, especially through the childhood years, it's going to mess you up for a while. It's going to make you doubt yourself for a while. But you listen to your gut and you listen to your feelings, because they're going to be the most honest with you when it comes to this stuff. I'm going to throw this little blurb in here. I've read some about imposter syndrome, and that can also be a factor of it when you feel like you're not a part of your life. So everything that happened to you in your life didn't really happen to you. You're just faking it. Or you don't deserve it. You don't deserve the recognition for surviving through all of that. Because it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. And that's just a brain defense against accepting the cruel reality of life. And because our brains are naturally, especially early in recovery, your brain fights that like hell. It's kicking. It takes so long to make progress on this one, because it takes a while to trust yourself. But the only way to trust yourself is to start a rapport with yourself. And I have a video about talking to your inner child coming out too, very soon. I've already got all these videos made up. I just gotta put them in the movie maker pretty much. So, but yeah, look up imposter syndrome if that sounds, but that also kind of relates to, having achievements and then you don't really believe that you deserve the achievements, feeling like an imposter in that way too. But I feel like it can also go the other way of feeling like an imposter as a survivor. That was my cat. Feeling like an imposter, like a survivor, and being like, oh, I don't deserve all of this. All these other people went through so much more than me. Like, I don't know what pain is. I don't even know how many times I was told that as a kid. My parents were always saying, you don't know what pain is, you don't know what sad is, you don't know what any of this stuff is. And it took me a long time to realize, wait, yes I do, and I know pretty well what it is, because you guys made sure of that. So there is my repressed memory, doubting memory talk. If you have any experiences you'd like to share, feel free to share them. I just made a Discord. I'll have the link for that down at the bottom. I also will link the Discord where my original support group is. I'm not the moderator for that, but the moderator there is super sweet, super nice. All the people on that Discord are awesome. And if this stuff is relating to you in the slightest, I know you'll get some good resources out of this Discord, because they are honestly the best people to go to when you're having a bad time, because they get it. Thank you for listening. I hope your week goes wonderfully. And I'll see you again soon. Have a good one.